Now, after 11 games played in the Premier League, Arsenal sit top with 26 points. And I think it's, widely known that this side has started off in fine fashion this season. From the transfer window, people had already said that they were looking strong, bringing in the likes of Eze, Gyökeres, and many more. But early on in the season, we seemed to see some cracks, losing a big game back in September to Liverpool via a Dominic Szoboszlai free kick. But ever since these early season trip-ups, it's like this team has become an immovable force. Arsenal have been controlling this season from start to finish, with their defence helping them out. The likes of Gabriel, Jurrien Timber, Calafiori, David Raya, all the back line have put in an absolute shift since that game against Liverpool. And although they would draw to Manchester City and concede in a game against Newcastle, this team would keep moving forward, with steady wins against the likes of West Ham, Fulham, and a battering of Atletico Madrid, an Atletico side that had just come off the bat of destroying Real Madrid. And then Arsenal would continue their form in a game against Crystal Palace where all odds were saying that Crystal Palace were going to take this for themselves. But no, Arsenal rock up with a 1-0 victory and get out of there. Then 3 consecutive beatdowns of the likes of Brighton, Burnley and Slavia Praha all include clean sheets, meaning that no goals were conceded. And then the whole world started talking about Arsenal. Was this defense the best that we'd ever seen? Questions were brewing like a warm cup of tea on a cold winter's night, until a game against Sunderland. A game in which this immovable defence that Arsenal and Arteta had forged had been broken. Broken twice by the likes of Sunderland. A Sunderland side that needs its own video to talk about. And now that begs the question, after this international break that is commencing in November, Arsenal have some of the hardest fixtures of their entire season, with 5 back-to-back games that involve pain, trauma, goals, defence, and this will be a battle that Arsenal need to prevail in. And I think it's a battle that some of their best players this season will be up for. The likes of Saka, Gyökeres, Martinelli have started off in fine fashion, but also have been questioned by the fan base and also football fans in general. Is Gyökeres good enough? Are the finishes that he's displayed this season actually good goals? Or is he someone that just scores the most fluky goals and somehow is, just adding to the volume of goals that he's got to this season? And Saka, despite being Arsenal's most consistent player for the last 5-6 billion years, is he really that guy? But let me just tell you about these next 5 games for Arsenal, because it involves them going to hell and back. Hell starting off with a derby against Tottenham Hotspur. To be fair, this game is at home for Arsenal, so they do have the advantage, but with Tottenham and a new manager, anything can happen. This will be the first North London derby that Thomas Frank is involved in, and again, Thomas Frank is a manager that has come up against Arteta multiple times and sometimes have got the better of him. And this game will probably involve Tottenham coming at us with some compact mid-press. Them midfielders are going to be aggressive. They're going to want the ball. And also, there's going to be a lot of aggressive starts by Tottenham. They're going to be doing as much Route 1 football as Arsenal do. But I don't see them dictating the possession in the game. And ultimately, I think the first goal wins. That's the first game. But then we go into another game in the Champions League against Bayern Munich, which will be a heavyweight battle to say the least. This is one of the most anticipated games of the season so far, with Bayern and Arsenal being some of the most dominant forces in European football and football itself this season. Because Bayern are coming off being immaculate in the Bundesliga, but also an amazing fixture against PSG where they would come out 2-1 victors after going 10-man down, for the entirety of the second half, thanks to Luis Diaz getting a red. This will be insane, with the likes of Olise and Luis Diaz having to go up against Calafiori and Jurrien Timber, whilst also each centre-back pairing of either team are going up against some of the finest strikers that we have right now. Harry Kane and Gyökeres, as debatable as it sounds. Then after a game against Bayern Munich, Arsenal will go to Stamford Bridge, away from home, and take on Chelsea. With Chelsea being one of the sides among the top 3, they are sleeping dogs in this title race. And of course, nobody really has them to win the league, but they have been showing signs of them being actually really good, but then also really poor. And no one really knows what their clear judgment is on Chelsea this season. But again, against Arsenal in a London derby, anything can happen. And then after a game against Chelsea, they're back home to face off against Brentford, which are, the B team to Arsenal, really. That's Haram B and Arsenal are Haram A, because they both play doing long throws, route one football, corners, free kicks, etc. And if Brentford can set up somehow like this, you've seen it this season where they've come up with big results, they can upset Arsenal. Arsenal's tactics should involve just deading off this game early, especially against Brentford. Flurry them early, attack early, you're at home, enjoy the football and just win by like 3-0. Then finally in this frightful 5, it's Aston Villa that Arsenal have to take on, who despite their topsy-turvy form still pose a threat to Arsenal as always, because this is Unai Emery. Every time he comes up against Arsenal, he wants to get the win. He wants to prove to Arsenal fans that it was a mistake to let him go. He wants to show that he's a brilliant manager, one of the best in the league and also European football. And of course, Aston Villa are going to be up for it. So will Arsenal prevail? Arsenal fans, what are we going to be thinking after the next 5 games in this season? Because it can go left real quick. Imagine the scenes. You lose against Tottenham. Bayern Munich dominate. Chelsea dominate. You bounce back against Brentford. And then you fail to deceive against Aston Villa. The whole season could be flipped. Haaland and Manchester City are also on your tails, just about 4 points behind. And Arsenal are coming up into a point in their season where they are going to have the hardest 5 back-to-back teams or 5 back-to-back matches of their entire campaign. This is it. It's time to really find out what this team is made of, because they are showing, that they are amazing in every aspect. Attacking wise, defensive wise, transition wise, set piece wise, free kick wise, throw in wise. It doesn't really matter. The trims, everything. Everything has been perfect. So let me know what you think Arsenal are going to do after these 5 games. What will their form be like? Will it be a win, win, loss, draw, win? You tell me in the comments below. And of course, be ready, because we got videos to make after each and every one of these games. Well, not the Brentford one.